Welcome. This is Lizzie Brooks Yoga and Fitness. I'm Lizzie Brooks, and today's workout is a quick, legs-focused weights workout. So whatever weights you have will work unless they're just too heavy. You can actually do the workout with no weights if that's the case. If you have a variety handy so that you can kind of pick and choose. And sometimes if we're using two weights, you can use one instead. You can go up, you can go down. It's up to you. Come and join me on your mat. Okay, so I always recommend having a blanket handy for when we come to the knees, please. And a towel will work just fine. Let's center because at the end of the day, I am a yoga teacher. So even the weights classes, we're gonna slow down, we're gonna calm that nervous system. Sit up nice and tall, take an inhale through the nose. Wash that out, sigh through your mouth. One more time, inhale through the nose. Let it go. Let's start to roll the shoulders around a few times here. And then after you do those rolls, bring your hands together to your heart. Set your intention for this movement practice. Be open towards baby steps in the right direction with this intention. Don't be hard on yourself. Inhale fully. And this time, let's shake out the arms, shake off the clutter. You can take the arms high, medium, low, just let that go. Oh, it feels nice to kind of just release the day, right? Release some of the tension, even if it's morning. And then bring your hands down, and then inhale, lift your heart, open the chest. Exhale, round the spine a bit. So we're gonna go in and out of a seated cat-cow as we begin to prepare the shoulders and the spine a little bit more. One more time. And exhale around. Come all the way up. And let that go. I'm actually going to move my microphone to a new spot. We're going to give this a try. So come to all fours, please. And this is where patting your knees with your blanket might be really useful. And we'll go into a downward facing dog. So no weights just yet, just body weight. Hands down, hips up and back. Heels do not need to touch. In fact, I would kind of caution you against touching the heels down to begin. If you can easily touch them down, you might walk your feet farther away from your hands. Pedal it out here and get some movement of blood, some stretch into the legs since we are focusing on the legs today. That doesn't mean that everything we'll do is legs, but yes, that's the focus. Inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway down to all fours and pause and hover. So we'll get a little more work into the core and into the legs. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly lower the knees down and reach one arm up. So this might be on the waist and you're taking your twist to the side, or you're reaching it up for your twist. Roll your shoulders back. Reaching all the way up is a big one, so it might just be to the waist. Inhale here and exhale. Take the hand down, torso faces the earth, and then the other side. You're gonna inhale, get long, exhale, hand to the waist, or lifting up for that stretch and that twist, getting into the shoulders. And exhale, take the top arm down, second downward facing dog, please. And this time we'll walk our hands back to our feet and take our first fold. So in this fold, again, we're really cold in the legs and you might want to put a nice bend in the knees to make this more accessible. We're gonna go into half forward folds. Inhale, rise halfway up, let the hands glide the shins. Exhale, maybe a little more fold. Inhale, rise halfway up. And exhale, any amount more of that fold. And one more time, inhale. And exhale for that fold. Now come into your all fours position again. And draw your organs towards your spine without rainbowing your spine into a cat. So rather than this, you're just going to keep your spine pretty neutral, but really lift the organs towards the spine. We'll start to move that a little forward and back, just getting some core stability, finding that we're really stabilizing the spine. And if you want to add a little more heat, a little more work, you're going to draw this into a plank pose and let the movement come from your ankles. This is the last thing that we'll do before we add on the weights. 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knees, come into a child's pose. Reach the hips back, reach the arms forward. Really stretch through the lats. Knees can be together or separated. Inhale fully. Exhale here. Now we'll come back into all fours. We've got a little bit more going on, through the joints, a little more blood flow. And you're gonna grab a weight, both sides, under your hands. So I'm gonna go for 10s here. In my normal practice, I always remind people that I do a little less weight on these videos so that I can sustain talking, which is still sometimes hard. So choose something that feels heavy for you, but doable. We're gonna do a row and bring it back. Remember, at any time you can lessen the weight or put the weight down and continue the action. Hands are on the weights, and you're gonna row and set down. This is a really slow movement because you are keeping the inner arm close to the body. So again, yes, this is going to be legs focused, but we are doing a little bit of arms as well. This is also core, and our core is partially our hips, so we want to make sure that we're doing this stabilization. We won't do this very long, and you don't want to slam the weight down, which is one of the reasons why you're doing this really slow and mindfully. So you put it down really softly, and lowering slowly makes your work a little harder. One more each side, and then we're going to continue to use likely the same weights for where we're going. So move your padding out of the way and come to standing, and stand behind your weights. Now, if you have weights and these two become too heavy, you can hold one in your hands and kind of change what you're doing in the arms, or release the weights completely. So you're going to begin to hinge your hips back and bend your knees forward. Big hinge in the waist. The hips, not the waist. Reach down and grab your weights, let them hang down by your sides, and now go slower than you want to, a lot slower than you want to come all the way up to a straighter legged position. Let the weights just hang down. Again, your arms are straight, and we're just gonna do a little weight transfer. So you're just gonna lift one heel, put it down, lift the other heel, put it down. Do that a little bit on each side. And then we'll work the balance a little bit more if it seems like lifting one foot, one knee, and the other is working. And then make sure it's slow as you begin to transfer this weight. You're working balance and you're working stability, okay, which go hand in hand. Now from here, we're going to do, I'll show you from the side, a hip hinge back. We're going to draw the weights any amount down and hinge back up. You will feel this. Obviously, you're having to hold the weights in your hands, which is working the arms, but the movement is more so in the legs. Now, as I said earlier, if you need to do this holding one weight, you can hold it in many different locations and just do one weight instead of holding both. Make sure you're not really overly arcing at the low back if you have a tendency to do that and lose core support. It's okay to have a little bit of that low back sway, but just not overly so. Let's do 3 more and keep it slow. We're gonna work the legs more time under tension. 1 more. And come all the way up. Take your weights down and shake out the legs and shake out the arms again. And find yourself in a mountain pose, breathing. We're coming back to your intention. All right, moving now, we were kind of more in the front of the legs and also the glutes, but we're gonna move a little bit more into the hamstrings. You can do this with 1 weight or 2, okay? 2 will be more weight, a little bit tougher, okay? So from here, you're going to take your toes, 1 set, doesn't matter, we're gonna do both sides, doesn't matter. Tuck them behind you, and that front knee is going to you're gonna put a little bit like a 2-inch bend in it. And then from here, you're going to hinge at that hip crease, again, not the waist, the hip crease, up and down, letting that torso align more with that front leg. This will be a lot if you are not used to working your posterior chain, part of that being the hamstrings and the glutes. You can always release one of your weights down or release both weights and continue the movement. You will still be getting stronger. You want to find the movement that works for you instead of getting burnt out or hurting yourself in the process by doing something that your body's not quite used to yet. We'll switch sides. Get your stance ready. Remember, you're on train tracks with the feet. You're not having one foot right behind. You have to put that soft bend in the knee, okay? Even if you could keep the leg straight, I don't want you to. I want the bend to be there for a specific reason of the way we're working through the glutes and the hamstrings. This is not speedy. And if you can't go as low as, say, I'm kind of going more towards the middle of the shin or the ankle. If coming that low doesn't work, then you're gonna just decrease the range of movement a little bit. It's totally great. You're still getting tons of benefit. And everyone is gonna be in a different range of movement. It makes complete sense. Nice soft bend in the knee. You will feel this. This is also working your back. Okay, so it's more than just part of the posterior chain. 2 more. Keep breathing. Last one. Stand with your feet together. Hang the weights down. Take an inhale and sigh out. Place your weights down. And again, shake it out a little bit. So it's kind of freeing, right? When you had all that weight on you and then you release it off. Kick one heel out to the side and you can bend one knee and then either your hands could come on either leg. I kind of like to put it on the bent knee leg so that I'm not hyperextending that knee. And we'll just open the back of the leg a bit. And then the other side, kind of kicking it out, getting sassy with it. Bend the opposite knee and breathe here. I worked really hard 2 days ago and my hamstrings are still recovering from that weight work. And come back up, shake it out. Okay, so from here, go ahead and take one heavy weight or one medium weight, completely up to you. And we're gonna bring this in front of our chest. So you might have done this already if you were using one weight. And from here, we're just gonna lift and lower at the ankles. Lift and lower. And I don't want you to be too quick. Try to be a little slower, which will require more balance. And if your ankles have a tendency to splay out to the sides, attempt to draw a little bit more of the inner ankle towards the midline. Now, you can decrease the range of movement here. We're working still posterior chain, but the focus is a little bit lower. Yes, you will feel this in your hamstrings and glutes, but also now in the calves, working the arches of the feet and the ankles. If you want a little more work and you want to bring more torso, more lats, more upper body, you will lift your weight above your head. This is not by any means a must. Please keep that in mind. This is not better than what you were doing. It's just different, okay? 3, are you burning? I am. 2, and last one. Take the weight, if it was above you, back to the chest and slowly transfer it to the earth. And then from here, we'll take a bit of a pyramid pose, still being sweet to those legs. So if you like to use blocks, you can step. I'm stepping my right foot forward and my left foot back. I'm on train tracks, not a tight wire. I'm gonna rotate my torso a little more forward. Now I might just kind of bend into my front knee slightly and put my hands on the thigh, especially if I'm not used to this stretch, or I might come down to the shin, the ankle, or the floor. And I can even swish my hips side to side, which gets more into those hamstrings because we don't just have one, we have 3 on each leg. Keep your breath nice and thorough here. Give your body some love for all the work it's doing. Soften your front knee, rise back up, and then we'll do a little spring to step the front foot to the back, okay? And then bring the other foot forward for a pyramid. Take your torso a little more pointed towards that front leg. Any amount of bend, depending on what's going on in the hamstrings. Woo! And swish very slowly side to side. Think of a really sweet phrase to say to your hamstrings rather than beating them up for being a little tight. That's probably a reason for that. They also help you stabilize. And then pause in the center, put a little bend in that knee, come all the way up. And then again, we're gonna pop back to standing. All right, shake out the legs from here. We'll change the work in the legs by adding a split stance this time with optional upper body work. So I'm gonna go with my 10s on this, and it's going to be a lot of work with 10s, so feel free to go a little lower on the weight. One foot is forward, one foot is back. I'm starting with my right foot forward. And I'm gonna kind of look at this. If I look down and I bend my back knee, that's not really 90 degrees, and it doesn't have to be. But the closer I get to 90 degrees, the more work this will be. So please understand that if you take your legs farther apart lengthwise, it will be a little bit easier. Going up and down, and not fully straightening either of the legs in between. You're just hanging the weights down for this. Now, if you want to add the upper body work, you're going to take the weights and hold them 90 degrees in front of you. You could always put a weight down and hold one weight 90 degrees in front of you, okay? That's an isometric hold. You've got that contraction going in the biceps. Make sure you're not clenching up through the jaw. Then from here, we'll lean forward a little bit and step forward, chair, straighten the legs, and then we'll take it to the other side. You can release the weights down by your sides or all the way to the floor. Measure out your bend in your back knee. Maybe make it more 90 degrees if that feels doable. If it bothers the knee, don't make it 90 degrees, please. Up and down, really working those legs. And then possibly 90 degrees with one or both weights. Never coming to fully straight with the legs makes it harder. If you need to come fully straight, absolutely do. We want to make this workout attainable so that we build strength and we don't do it one time and never do it again. All right, lean forward, chair, straighten out the legs, straighten out the arms, and take your weights down. Freedom in the body, let it go. Ooh, maybe the shoulders have to move around, legs have to shake out. A lot of quads on that one. So we're going to change up our orientation with gravity and come down onto our back body. So from here, we're going to use a little bit of core work on the way down, or don't, and just come down. Rolling down if that feels okay, maybe holding onto the legs to kind of help roll down. Organs towards the spine. Take a full body stretch once you meet the earth. Hello, earth. It feels good to be here. Inhale and sigh out. Okay, now we're going to bring some work into those hips and glutes again. And I like to use a heavy weight on, it's kind of the hips, but it's also the low belly, okay? And you don't have to use it at all. You will still get a great workout. Feet are hips distance apart. Your hips are probably not as big as you think. And we'll start to lift the pelvis up. Once you feel like you have a decent amount of lift, if it feels okay to draw the shoulder blades closer in, you can. And then I'm actually gonna heel toe my feet a little further away because it felt like my knees were not quite right. So feel free to change your foot position and take them a little further away, not by much. We'll move up and down with the pelvis. My hands are only here to secure the weight from rolling back. I'm not trying to put much of that weight into my hands. Okay, just making sure that it is nice and secure. Turn on the work of your inner thighs about 2% so the knees are not splaying out to the sides. We're gonna do a little change in a moment, but right now I want your legs to be more train tracked. 3, 2, I know you're doing great, and 1. Okay, now what I just said was keep your legs train tracked. Now we're gonna actually turn the heels in and the toes out very slightly. Let that come from the hips, not the knees. And we'll continue to lift and lower the weight. Now, if the knees are splaying out to the sides and the ball joint, the big toe ball joint of your feet is not grounded, that means you've taken too much of a wide turn with the feet. And if it bothers your knees, it's probably an indicator the turn out is too wide. And if it still bothers you when you decrease it, go back to where you started. This is just getting, by turning out slightly, more of the external rotators of the glutes. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down. Definitely move your weight to the side. Hug the knees in, rock side to side. Cross one ankle to the top of the knee. Either stay here if that's enough stretch or draw in. Your right hand goes through the triangle in the middle, left fingertips around. Give yourself a rock side to side. Before we move on, which we don't have much left, we want to make sure we at least tend to those glutes. And then other side, either staying down or coming in for that gentle rock side to side. All right. And then from here, soles of the feet down and then extended. Reach back, take a full body stretch here and sigh that out. Okay, a little bit of core with whatever weight you'd like. This is going to be lifted up. You're going to feel the work in your core. Also your legs, but the legs don't have the weight. So from here, first option is to keep the legs down and to do a little baby roll up and a roll down with the weight in your hands and the arms extended above you. If you want to add alternating lifts of the legs, feel free to add those on. Keep your movement slower than you might want to go. We're not trying to really charge through this with a lot of momentum, which makes it hard. Lifting and lowering. Now, if keeping the legs straight is too much, bend the knees. Okay, you can absolutely bend the knees and still be working the legs, working that core. And this asymmetrical movement really gives something unique to the core because you're also using those hip flexors as well. And as one leg is pressing in, attempt to press the other leg away. One more each side. If this is too much on the neck, you could always lose the weight and interlace your hands behind you. Take the weight down, take it to the side. So remember, bring the knees in and pause here. If that is ever too much on the neck, because our neck muscles sometimes, especially with all the computer work and everything we do, they get kind of lax. It's true for everyone, myself included. You could do the same work with no weight for next time, just like this. Hands on the belly, deep breath in. Sigh that out. Nice. Rest here. Relax the bridge of the nose, relax the eyes. Completely relax the abdomen, okay? So the knees don't have to stay bent. They can be long in front of you if that helps you relax at the pelvis and the abdomen more. And I invite you to keep releasing here. As I mentioned, this would be a short practice, short but impactful. Got some mostly legs, a little bit of arms, and some core. Nothing wrong with that. Take your head side to side with your eyes closed. Notice that it won't be a smooth ride because the back of our heads are not perfectly round. And that's okay. That's how we're built. And then pause and center. Inhale. And sigh out. Feel free to rest as long as you like and let a little more harmony come through the body as you recall and pat yourself on the back for all of the work that you just did, all of your effort. But now, drinking in the ease to balance that effort. If we neglect the ease part, we're missing more than 50%, I would say. I think that if we only do the effort part and the ease part 50-50, I feel like sometimes now, especially with what's going on in the world, we need a little more ease. A little more ease. Inhale fully. Release. And I thank you so much for joining me for this. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And if you want to try any of the other weights videos, know that the same things apply. You can do less weight, you can do all of the movement with no weights and just add some isometric holds or movement with as if you're holding on a weight, right? It all works and it all steps you in the direction of where you want to be. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.